Hi, so thank you for joining us today. We have Litany, who's going to be talking about one of our India public health programs. So Litany, if you could just give us a little bit of an introduction on who you are and like what school you go to and the program that you participated in.
Sure. Hi. My name is Litany Esguerra. I go to UIC, or the University of Illinois at Chicago. I am majoring in rehabilitation sciences, hopefully to go on to physical therapy. And I attended the India Public Health Policy, Advocacy, and Community program last semester.
Great. And so when you were thinking about, doing a study abroad program, what made you choose SIT in the end?
I really wanted something really immersive. I think a lot of programs that I was looking at, say, were in Europe and weren't as immersive within one country. And I think SIT India offered something that had homestay travel and going into community that was still within India. And I really got to know the country because of that.
Great. And so what are some of the key skills that you gained during the program?
I have two very big ones, which is communication and networking. And for communication, I would say it was a lot more than just language and words itself, but it was upon picking up more nuances with like how a person would react to you. So for example, I was talking about with someone about how I talk to auto rickshaw drivers. And it was really interesting to see how when they would say yes, they would nod their head, but very subtly, and you had to look for it in a certain way. And if they weren't really replying to you or they were saying no, they would move their head in a different way, and you had to pick up on that. And that was just an example about learning how to communicate within a context that was just more foreign to me than I would have been able to pick up. And then for networking, I had to learn how to do it more face-to-face. So usually emailing or texting and even calling is a really big thing back here in America. You know, you're able to get a hold of someone and you should expect that they get a hold back to you. However, in India, sometimes the best thing to do is just to go to the person, even if it was unplanned, and talk with them face-to-face. And in that way, you're able to actually get your message across.
So. Well, those are some great skills that you got hands-on experience.
Yeah.
And so I guess along the lines of that, what is one thing that you learned on your SAT program that you probably couldn't have learned anywhere else, or at least back home in the U.S.?
Well, yeah, I would say definitely communication, but also learning how to ask questions more on the fly. We visited a lot of NGOs or non-governmental organizations that kind of wanted us to ask questions, and being a student and seeing everything that you're seeing, it's hard to be able to ask questions while trying to experience everything. But I had to learn over time just to be able to like think of something on the fly to ask, even if it wasn't, even though you might know the answer, but just to kind of get more perspective from the people working in the NGO itself.
Great. And then it seems like you enjoyed your time on the program. So can you tell me one of your favorite aspects?
It's really difficult to answer that. However, I think the Independent Study Project, or the ISP, was probably my favorite part of the program. I think a lot of it was just a month of challenge and so many good and bad things happening all at once, where I've taken this experience and still utilize it to this day to help kind of motivate me in general. I think I would think sometimes during tests, like, I've gotten through the ISP, I can get through this test. And so I kind of like reflecting back on this period because it was so impactful, and the work that I did during this time means a lot to me, because it really just is my project. It is something I'm so proud to say that I've done, at least within a month too.
Yeah, definitely. And so have you used the research that you've conducted, or what you did during your ISB and taken it back with you and continuing it at school?
Yes, definitely. Actually, later today, I'm going to a student research forum and presenting the research that I did during this time. I also have been able to use my project as credit for an internship research major requirement that I have to do. And also it's an honors capstone that I will be making sure it's also like a research component that I have to do for next year. So I'm able to utilize it in many different ways.
Well, that's really exciting. Can you tell me a little bit about what your research was on?
Sure. Well, I studied with this NGO, J4 and they provide free prosthetic limbs to everyone, everyone who needs it. And I studied and interviewed people that to see how they perceived disability and impairment.
Great. And had you had much, research experience prior to this, or this is kind of a new and exciting thing that you got to do?
Definitely a new thing. I've had classes that helped me learn about it, but I've never been able to just actively do it all by myself too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great that you're, further pursuing it for your senior thesis and requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess my last question is, so if someone had never heard of SIT before, how would you describe it to them?
I would primarily describe SIT as a school that offers programs abroad in many different countries around the world that helps students learn in a variety of contexts outside of the classroom through things like excursion and the homestay and the ISP.
Great. Well, I think you summed up the program very, very well.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join me and talk about your time abroad.
Yeah, no problem.